Do you have something that your customers really want to learn? And we find it's not just about like audience size, like our top creator, for instance, right, who's made $20 million. She has 100,000 followers, which is not that much.
Customers buy from particular people, not just by searching.
Exactly. This entire journey has been so rewarding that I would feel like a complete ass to nitpick about all the small stuff.
He's so good at catching trends. What are the hottest markets right now? Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. I like how this terrace has become a place where I meet amazing people. My guest today is Ankur. He's a CEO and co-founder of Teachable. He sold his company back in 2020 for $250 million. He was born in India, grew up in Oman. We're going to talk about the future of education. We're going to talk about how to make $1 million in 60 minutes, because this is basically what happened with one of the users of Teachable. She launched her course and she made $1 million. We're going to talk about him as an entrepreneur. Let's welcome Ankur. I'm just getting mentally prepared. And I'm just so happy that this house has become a meetup spot for
Yes, that's a creator party house.
When you started the company, I know you started first like coding, then you realized coding is not your thing, then you made $1 million doing Facebook apps, which is amazing. So you're really good at catching trends. But then you started Teachable. Have you ever had this feeling that there are so many things going on in the world, like there was this Facebook thing, etc. Did you ever had this, like maybe I should start something else? Maybe it's not the hottest space, because EdTech wasn't that hot.
It was unintentional in a lot of ways. It's not like I knew I wanted to start a company in education. It was more we stumbled into it. Like started by being a creator myself, had our courses on Udemy, terrible courses by the way. They were not very good.
Like what was the topic?
It was on growth marketing were our first couple of courses, and I actually was watching them, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and super embarrassing when you look at it. And I think I don't know if you remember your first few videos, but it was so cringy. Like I'm recording on my iPhone headphones. I start my first course with "What up, party people," and the whole thing was very, very embarrassing. But it got me down this process of being like, hey, there's something cool. Creating content is fun, but it was very hard to build a business when I didn't own the audience, when I didn't actually have ownership over my customers. I couldn't set my own pricing. So I almost stumbled into running this company. It's not like I knew this was going to be the grand vision. We built a platform first for ourselves, and then slowly started getting customer 2, 3, 4. And eventually 6 months in, I'm like, I guess I'm building an EdTech company. So
nice. And you started with Conrad together.
Correct,
Yeah. And he left in
He left early 2016, I believe. So Conrad he and I started working together on content, and in a lot of ways he became the first customer. So originally I was building the application, he was the first customer, and then I think a few months in, he joined as a full-time employee and co-founder.
But when he left, what were your feelings? Because I guess when a co-founder is
it's hard because we're great friends. We still are, but I think it reached a point where he wanted to go on and do his own thing, and we had a team of I think 10, 12 people, and still maintained a very good friendship. I mean, I just came from his house right before this. So
That's pretty cool.
So it was bittersweet, but at that point, thankfully, we're 10, 12 people. The company was making revenue, so it was easier than it would have been otherwise.
And did you have because we've been building a company for a while, and I think with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially now when you're starting this thing and you see other people succeeding in different areas, have you ever had this maybe I should try something else?
Yeah. So that before I actually got started with Teachable, what I was most insecure about was, will I be able to be focused, right? Because my worry is almost like this ADD sense of I would try this thing and then 2 months later this shiny new sparkly thing would come up, and that was my fear. And I didn't raise money for the longest time because I was afraid, what if I'm excited about this today, but I wouldn't be excited 3 months later? What about all the investors? So it actually took 9 months of working on it until I realized, no, there's something here. I think this is for the long term.
So you got your first customers, you realized you're able to work on it 24/7?
My first investor actually, his name is Matt Brazina. His question before agreeing to invest was look, he's I think what you're doing is super interesting. I'm in, but can you tell me how important is this to you? Do you think this is the company you want to build? And at that point I'd done a lot of soul searching, and I knew the answer was yes. But for the longest time that was my fear, that I would get excited about this, but what if I got excited about something else? So
cool. So for every entrepreneur, the advice would be to just start working on the idea.
Start working about it. What I realized soon is, one, serving creators turned out to be very, very rewarding. It actually I was able to meet a lot of our early customers, and that was very rewarding. And also, once something started working, having tried lots of businesses, it's actually very rare to have something start working. So once it started working, I was just addicted to like almost creating progress. Like, you know, like we were tracking at the time the amount our creators sold every month, and I think the first month it was $3,000, and then $8,000 and $20,000. By month 6, that was the game. That was the video game.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to get to a high score and help creators earn more. So
and you had this amazing story with someone earning $1 million within 60 minutes of launching the course.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
What do
amazing.
You do? I have no idea. Like, that's the other thing. We can't
so
take
you
credit.
Haven't researched that?
But it's the creator. Like, we are the platform, right? So the credit goes to the creator. It's not really because of us. Like, as much as I love to say, like last year, you know, 2 people made over $10 million on our platform. One person has made over $20 million on our platform. But that's more about her and what her business is than us.
And so her audience would be somewhere else, and she would be warming them up and then leading.
We're the technology platform. We are where the point of sale happens. But a lot of these creators typically have a large audience on either YouTube or Instagram or some other channel, who they then kind of keep warm, either putting them in a sales sequence or like a live webinar or whatever. And then they sell the product in the live webinar. So even though you make $1 million in an hour, in a lot of ways, it's the work of the entire year leading up to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So she had a webinar.
Yeah.
Because I'm really into course, and I have my own course, and I'm doing this warm up for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And what do you think would be the best? Like, I don't know if you analyze it, but where do you see the best conversions? Where are they coming from? Like YouTube or Instagram or Twitter?
So everyone has to find their audience source, and yours is YouTube, and I think YouTube is a great channel. So everyone has their top funnel audience from one specific place. Then beyond that, like, I mean, some people have multiple sources, but it really doesn't matter. We've seen people use all kinds of different platforms. What we found to be the differentiating factor is a few things. One is, I guess, what we call the like audience content fit, but like basically, do you have something that your customers really want to learn? And like the challenge may be like, let's say you have a channel where people are watching you do stand-up comedy. That's a little hard because they're there for the entertainment value. You haven't sort of really found that offer. But once you have that offer, that's super important. The second thing that really matters is how your relationship with the audience is. We find it's not just about like audience size, like our top creator, for instance, right, who's made $20 million. She has 100,000 followers, which is not that much, right?
But it's probably like a very niche topic, right? And
very
she only talks about it.
And but her audience really, 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 really loves her. They'll do anything. They'll do anything she tells them to. And the third thing that we find really helps is almost like so in tech products keep measuring the net promoter score, which is how many people won't stop talking about your product. So there's something like that we see with courses. When a course helps people reach the outcome successfully, your students never stop talking about it. And long term, the people that are still doing well years later, the biggest thing is their course is a very high course NPS. Like their students get successful results and they just don't stop talking about it. And that's the only thing long term that actually can see these courses compound where every launch is bigger than the other.
Interesting. And you also launched this marketplace where you can find courses.
Yep.
But so in my perspective, just doing this for many years, I think that customers buy from particular people, not just by searching.
Exactly. That's what's different about our product as opposed to, let's say, marketplaces is people are not like searching for, let's buy a programming course. They want to buy Marina's course. Like no matter what it is, it's like it's not commoditized. They want to buy from that specific creator. And as a result, we see people willing to spend more money because it's not just buying the cheapest product. They want to buy the product because they already have a relationship with that creator.
So what's with the marketplace? Have you seen any traction there?
We're experimenting with it, right? So our goal is every other marketplace out there today is focused more on the student or the buyer. We're like, what would it look like if we inverted it and focused on the creator? So the creator actually got email addresses from the students buying and all of that. So we've been doing that. It's still early days. It's basically a very, very, very small part of our business. But the way we think about it is like, it's an experiment, right? And as a company, we want to make sure even though we become a bigger company, we're always like almost staying young by trying new things. And it's one of the experiments we're running. And we're going to, so we gave it a team. We put a bunch of money in the budget towards it. We're like, go have fun, go experiment with this. Let's look back on this in a year or two and see how much this becomes a core part of our strategy.
It's just interesting, how much of a cold audience would buy a course from a person they don't know.
So what we're doing, even with the marketplace, what we're seeing is we're hosting webinars and workshops on the marketplace because that's the only way to start building that relationship. Because if they just see a sales page, it's not compelling enough to go buy. So even on the marketplace, we're hosting lots of live events, like 3 to 5 a week.
Interesting. So if you're interested in one particular topic, you can just sign up and then you will tell them.
Exactly. So the live workshops help a lot. But even then, it's early days.
Interesting. Cool. Let's talk about the exit.
Yeah.
Like when you kind of exited, but you still
yeah. So we let's say I guess we merged / sold our company to a company based in Brazil called Hotmart. And it's been
$250 million.
I'm legally not allowed to speak about the number, but you can do research online, and I will neither confirm.
Crunch.
Yeah, I will neither confirm nor deny it. But I've been told by our legal team I'm not supposed to speak about the dollar value. But yeah, no. Honestly, it was. We were never looking to sell the company. It was almost like we were introduced to this company, and I'd never heard about them candidly. Like I'd not heard of, again, they're in a different market, but I saw their numbers and I was like, this is really, really impressive. If like these numbers are accurate, this company is growing incredibly fast in a market I'd not really seen or heard of. So let me take a meeting with them. So it started off almost like this blind date we were set up on by one of our
in New York or
in New York, one of our prospective investors. So they flew down from Brazil. We all went out to dinner. We started trading notes, and we realized that they're thinking about the world in the exact same way that we were. And then we just sort of kept the courtship process, I guess, going for a while. And after 3-4 months of talking, they're like, hey, you're doing this, we're doing this. We want to enter the U.S. market. Collectively, we can combine our two companies and have a bigger impact faster. And that was pretty appealing to us at the time, since we'd been building a company for 6-7 years, and the idea of like almost skipping 1 or 2 years was very attractive.
And have you had any, because you sold 1 week before lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any thoughts that you might have had a better deal if you waited for another year?
So it's hard, like sometimes it's hard not to think about it, because our audience, like our business 2x'd, basically right after. But bigger picture, I'm just so grateful for everything that like it's very hard to nitpick about how much better things could have been. Because if I look at my life, I have so much to be grateful for. And the last thing the universe needs is like, I don't know, like someone who's already financially well off complaining about how much better they could have done. So like in general, I'm just grateful about how it all went down. And I'm also grateful that the Hotmart team is, just been great to work with on all of that. So yeah, could we have sold for a little bit more? Yeah, but bigger picture, we just consider ourselves so lucky anyways that it's a rounding error.
Nice. And can you share some numbers that you had before exit? Like you raised 12 million, right? So
yeah, we'd raised a little bit or under $13 million. We still had close to $10 million in the bank. So we were almost on the verge of profitability through the entire sort of way we ran the company. And yeah, we were roughly a 25 million revenue run rate when we sold, which doubled pretty much in the months right after with COVID. But yeah, no, it was, again, like as I said, like this entire journey has been so rewarding that I would feel like a complete ass to nitpick about all the small stuff. So
So how big is your involvement in the company right now? Because you made so many investments.
Yeah, so I'm an active investor right now. So I am on the board of the Hotmart company, and I'm pretty active in terms of how we think about our global strategy. Because I think at Hotmart we're in a very unique place where we have the opportunity to be the biggest creator economy company in the world. But there's a lot of things we need to do in the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years. So I'm helping a lot out on the board, on the strategic level, even thinking about future mergers and acquisition, but I'm no longer day-to-day operating. Because I went through a soul-searching process, and I realized what I enjoy is the creation stage, like the stage when you're going from 0 to 1, versus like running a company of hundreds of people, where it's just not what I find interesting or what I'm good at. So.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And that's so good that you're honest with yourself.
Yeah. I found towards the end, right, like as the company built out, I just wasn't enjoying the like day-to-day operational part, and it was almost causing the stress when you realize you're not good at something and you see other people that are better than you at it, yet you also don't value like getting better at it. So it was in a weird place where I'm like, I want to go back to creating. And investing has helped me get some of that, where I tell my founders I'm almost living vicariously through them. Like, they're like these small 2, 3, 4 person teams. I almost get to experience some of that high while frankly doing none of the work. So
that's my favorite, because I just started angel investing a couple months ago, and my favorite is you jump on a call, you discuss all the features,
all the good stuff. You don't have to do it.
You don't have to call them. Perfect.
Yeah, it's great. So it's really nice. Like I read investor updates, and you see someone listen to the advice you gave them, or take an introduction and do well, and you feel really nice, and then you go back and you live your life. So it's something I'm enjoying for now. I don't think I would ever identify as an investor. I think of being a founder, I almost like feel like if I become a full-time investor, I'll like feel sad.
So
like,
you have funds. You have 2 funds, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have just launching a new one on Tuesday actually.
Okay.
And we fully invested out of my first one.
How do you join
What?
the fund? How do you join your fund?
I will send you a link afterwards. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about, like in general, you're so good at catching trends. What are the hottest markets right now, according to you?
So, I mean, I am not in it at all, but most of my smarter friends now are all into Web3 and crypto and all of that stuff. And for me, I almost feel like a boomer. I feel like I've missed that wave at this point. But I think what I'm most excited by personally and where I'm spending a lot of time is I'm excited by emerging markets and like taking the things that have happened here and developed here and thinking about how they will develop in like, you know, India, Pakistan, Southeast Asia, Africa, all of that.
Sometimes I just feel like you mentioned India, or like even if you think about China, I think some of those countries are even more developed and some like especially
China, India, no, like in India, 500 million people came online in the last 5 years.
Oh, I noticed that on my channel.
you do, right? So, but like this entire, and they've skipped a lot of the development and sense of a lot of people, their first device is going to be a mobile phone, and you know what it means to almost bring these countries forward has created this massive opportunity, in my opinion, where if you ever have a product or a company that starts growing in these markets, they grow faster than they have grown over here. So I'm personally spending a lot more time there. I also find it, I also grew up outside America, and I'm almost like trying to reset to go. When you live in this country like it absorbs you into thinking it's the center of the world.
Oh yeah.
Which it is in some ways, isn't in some ways. So I'm trying to almost force myself to spend more time outside America, look at what's happening over there, and like taking a more sort of global view on things. So.
Have you thought of becoming a creator yourself, like starting a
I have 2,000 Instagram followers, so I would say I'm well on my way.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I find it like it's some people I think are naturally very good at it. I think Twitter is the one channel I can, you know, create content and like sort of feel congruent to my personality. I've struggled with it otherwise. I think I'll try, but I just think I'm not going to be very good at it.
Okay. And what do you think is the future of education? Like, where are we going?
So I think education, Teachable included, but like all of what we're doing in online education today, bigger picture, is actually pretty bad. Like it's not as advanced as I would have guessed it would have been. Like, because think about what we're doing. Like most courses today still look like, if you look at what courses were 20 or 30 years ago, it's still really the same stuff put on the internet. Like we're still using recorded video, live video, and like cohort-based classes are like this new concept, but it's really not that new or innovative. Like that's how colleges have worked always. So I think education will change a lot in the coming future. I don't know whether it'll be AR or VR or like what new technologies, but I still think we haven't really applied that much technology to education yet, like we just as a civilization. So
and what about universities?
I think universities will go the way of like, I guess the way journalism has gone, where like you have the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and they're bigger and more successful than ever, but a lot of the other publications are struggling, and I think it'll go the same way of universities, where I think the Ivy Leagues and the best universities will be great and they'll be fine, but people will start looking at it more as a luxury good versus a necessity, right? Like if you're wealthy and you can afford it and you want to give your children a great experience, you should, but you don't have to. And in turn, you'll see the emergence of, I guess, all these other alternatives that provide things that the universities would have, whether, because theoretically, the universities would provide lots of things. Would provide you like, I don't know, like a social structure when you're in a formative year experience in your life, would provide you credentials, it would provide you actual knowledge, would provide you a network. And I think what we'll see now, and we're already seeing it, is those things get unbundled. You may get the credentials from somewhere, you may get the network from somewhere else, you may have the fund somewhere else, and it'll be super fascinating to see how that all develops.
And what do you think is Teachable's mission there?
Our mission, and the same with Hotmart, is like we want to empower creators to keep earning a living from like their passions, the things they love. And I think we're only doing a very small part of it today. Today what we're doing is helping people create and sell digital products. I think there's so much more we can help with, which is either on the top funnel side, which is helping them build an audience, or like teaching them how to build an audience, or tools to actually manage building an audience, or on the other end, which is like how they're running their business, how they're doing their banking, how are they, you know, setting up their admin, all of that. So there's so much room to go.
Cool.
So.
What do you think about investing in people directly?
I think it's a fascinating concept with like murky ethical implications, so we need to get it right. But I believe the world we're moving towards, whether we like it or not, is financializing everything. I think it's inevitable we're going to end up in a way where we're going to be able to invest in people, but we have to obviously do it very, very carefully. I mean, in a lot of ways, early stage angel investing is kind of like that because you're.
But then you have to kind of follow the person. If they start another company, you need to follow up with every company.
No. I think we'll get to a world where, for better or worse, 10, 20, 30 years from now, we're going to be able to like look at the person and invest in them. But it's important to do that in a sort of not dehumanizing way, right? Like I think there's also like moral and ethical implications. But it's a concept I've been like fascinated by for, over a decade. Like I think one of our earlier ideas was, what are ethical ways of like potentially giving someone, money up front in their career when they actually need it, and investing in them and potentially.
Teachable could definitely do that.
Teachable could do that. I think a lot of people. I think cryptocurrencies might end up being the way we get there, but I just think there's a lot of legal, ethical type stuff to navigate to like make it okay, right? And I think this can apply in so many fields, by the way. Like I think it doesn't have to apply just to business people. It can apply to athletes. It can apply to musicians. It can apply to so many different concepts and ways of doing this. But I think it's a fascinating concept, and we'll see a lot of innovation there. I don't think Teachable is going to push those boundaries yet because I just think it's a hard thing to do, and it might be easier to do it as a startup versus an incumbent. I was going to say we're already starting to see creators that are starting to kind of play around with the idea, and I think during the course of our life we're going to see creators, I guess, go public where you can invest in a creator and earn share their earnings and all of that.
Yeah, I just closed around 3 days ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
What motivates you to wake up every day?
Right now I feel like specifically blessed about just the state of how everything in my life has gone, and I think a big part of it has been almost going back to first principles. What are the things I like value and enjoy doing? And for me, a lot of it comes down to like very simple, like physical movement, outdoor time, and relationships. And I feel very fortunate that the way my life has gone is I can like now spend my days doing a lot of that. Like
talk to people, invest, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The opposite of that is, even though it was an important part to like build a company, the whole idea of like spending 14 hours on a computer was the opposite of that. So I feel very, very fortunate and blessed at this point in my life that I can live that way.
And you just came here for like 3 days, right?
I came here for a week. Again, I get to see a bunch of friends, get to meet a lot of companies I've invested in, like sit outside. So yeah.
Awesome. And one last thing, can you give me any advice?
Oh man, I feel like you're already ahead of the curve in so many ways. I think you're in the right place at the right time, and I think by being open to new opportunities as you are being by like investing, working with startups, working on your channel, and doing all of that, you've like increased the surface area for good things to happen. I think that's the important thing that like people lose as they become more and more successful, is they become more closed-minded in a lot of ways to new opportunities. So my advice would be to sort of continue to keep your like luck surface area as wide as possible by just saying yes to more things, even though as you get more successful, the demands on your time will increase, and it might be tempting to start saying no to more stuff. So,
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Awesome. It was the first time me filming the whole interview and setting up the whole setup. I'm just hoping everything worked.
Yeah.
And I hope that you guys enjoyed this interview, and maybe you could give some advice to entrepreneurs who are watching this video who want to start a company now.
Yeah. I mean, look, my advice to anyone watching this is like, whatever idea you have, whatever inspiration you have, like actually go out and do it. Like the only way you're gonna get better is by putting yourself out there. Like your idea is not gonna get better, sitting at home thinking about it. So my advice would be just take that step.